Haha, look at that, getting back in there with yet another crap-posting trade proposal. Folks, it's the off-season. And I am going to keep on using that excuse until we actually have tangible things to talk about day by day. Because this opens the door for us to dive into what ridiculous ideas are being tossed out there. And I'm not gonna lie, this one's is bold. It's rambunctious, it's crazy, it's lunacy, but I do think there is a semblance of reason behind this trade idea. And it's not really the worst. It's pretty bad, but not the worst. So today, we're talking about Montreal Canadiens forward, top-paid winger, Patrik Laine. You know him, you love him. We made a video a few days ago talking about how this guy wants to make people that bet against him lose their money. It's really bold himself. And I think Patty Laine has garnered a lot of sympathy and attention from fans in a positive way. A lot of fans want to see this guy do well, and I think Canadiens fans have no choice but to want that. The guy's 27 years old, he's in the prime of his career, big dude, big power play scorer, and he's making $8.7 million a year till the end of this upcoming season. He also is in a contract year, so this is going to be a put up or shut up type of deal for Patty Laine. This is the season where he needs to get going. If he wants to get any sort of guaranteed money for next year and beyond, he's got to show up this year. Plain and simple. Last year, he had 33 points and 20 goals in 52 games. Some of the prior years in Columbus, he was around the point-per-game mark, mostly as a playmaker versus a top-tier sniper-esque role. But Patty Laine had a really difficult time in Montreal this previous campaign, dealing with injuries and not really being the most consistent. When he was hot, and he was potting in power play goals left, right, and center. But the idea of trading Patrik Laine has always kind of been there in the background. If you could find a team that's willing to take on the money, if you can find a team that wants to take a chance on his potential, there was always this idea floating around saying that, hey, there are technically better ways you can use $8.7 million. And Patty Laine and his goal-scoring ability, it's true, it helped the Canadiens make the playoffs, but you can very well debate if it's a reasonable move to move away from this player. Which is why we head over onto Heavy.com, because Caleb Kearney, former writer on the Hockey News as well as Dauber Prospects, I mean, it says so right here in the article, he had a piece that sort of went viral earlier yesterday. The Canadiens hit the jackpot with this one-for-one trade proposal. Okay, you could already hear the doubt in my voice when I explain the title of this article, but let's go out there and read what Caleb Kearney is proposing here on Heavy.com, because it gets the people going, and it's gonna inevitably get people in my comment section asking what I think. So let's just nip that in the bud right now and talk about this trade idea. The article starts out by talking about the Canadiens and how they have some items to take care of. Adding some offensive talent in the form of a promising young winger or second-line center is high on the list. In light of recent injury news regarding Kirby Dach, the latter should be priority number one. Also, adding offensive talent in the form of a promising young winger, they literally just did that with Zach Bolduc. So I guess you can say that the second-line center is the main priority here. Heavy.com proposed a deal that would see the Canadiens acquire Nazem Kadri from the Calgary Flames. And the deal is 1-for-1. Nazem Kadri for Patrik Laine. And here's the thing, this crazy idea is so crazy that I think Calgary Flames fans, y'all are going to absolutely hate the heck out of this idea, right? If not for the salary relief. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, Naz is making 7, Laine is making 8.7. What salary relief is there in this deal? And here's the thing, Nazem Kadri, yeah, he's making 7, but that's till the end of 2028, 2029. If you wanted to go through some sort of a retool on the fly, you think that Kadri's a little bit too old, he's 34 right now. By the time his contract expires, he'll be, 38? If you think that's a little bit too long for a guy who's playing some of the best hockey of his career at this stage, and you want to expand on that talent, you want other teams to bite, you don't think he's going to age properly into the deal, then trading away a guy who's making $7 million for the next 4 years for a guy making $8.7 million just for the next year, singular, I think there is a reasonable take there. But of course, Calgary Flames fans, y'all are going to be looking at this saying, wait a minute, Nazem Kadri helps us out so much right now. Our goal is to be competitive. We know that he helps us do that, but you do have to question whether or not the Flames are that good to be able to capitalize on the talent that Nazem Kadri is bringing to this team at this moment in time. 35 goals, they don't grow on trees. Thing is, though, Patrik Laine is a multi-time 35-goal scorer, so, yeah, no, if he wants to go out there with his guarantees, I guess he's got to put the money where the mouth is at an eventual point, but still, Nazem Kadri, 67 points in 82 games played the most recent season. He had 75 points the year before that. Calgary didn't really have the best 24-25. A lot of guys dipped in point production from 24 over to this season. So Nazem Kadri is in a position where I think he still does hold value, but fans are starting to realize that, yeah, just because he's super good doesn't mean the team itself is going to have the best of successes, so you have to question the direction there. Is Patty Laine and the salary cap relief in his contract worth it to lose out on Nazem Kadri and the value that he brings? Would you want to have a king's ransom for Kadri instead? You want to get young guys, you want to get a whole bunch of prospects or picks. Laine is interesting because he is young-ish. He's 6 years younger than Nazem Kadri. But if you do expect him to have that bounce-back season like I think most Canadiens fans are, then Patrik Laine, there is a world where he is a top Calgary Flames scorer with a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau, for example. There's some really interesting potential with the playmaking of Huberdeau and the sniping ability of Patty Laine, and I actually don't think that's a bad idea. Let's go back over onto the article and read what it is that Caleb Kearney writes about here. The Canadiens would receive a top 6 center with a Stanley Cup under his belt. Conversely, the Flames acquire a forward with 1 year left in his contract that would add offense to this team, and with the flexibility to sign him long-term if the fit is there. In this proposal, the Canadiens receive Kadri, the Flames receive Laine. He was the 2nd overall pick in 2016, yada yada yada. A Kadri-Laine swap would lighten the Canadiens' salary by $1.7 million. That wouldn't completely resolve their cap conundrum, but it would give them more flexibility and make them a better team in the process. Now, the main reason as to why this is even being written about is because of the Kirby Dach updates that we had been talking about the past few days. Maxime Truman said this, and then Eric Engels said the other thing, and then we had another piece that spoke about the weird inaccuracies, things that don't add up with the way that Dach's injury has been reported. And then it says here at the bottom that Kadri does want to play with the Montreal Canadiens, that he would be willing to waive his no-move clause to go to Montreal or Toronto. That was written about by Nick Kyprios a few days ago, and of course has been the subject of much discussion on social media. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. A Kadri trade to Montreal is not a new idea. We've discussed this a few times, but a Kadri for Laine, 1-for-1. Does that move the needle for Calgary? Is that enough? Do you think the Calgary Flames would reasonably want more? And how do you think fans are going to react to this? This is going to be a ridiculous trade that I think both teams' fan bases might kind of hate for different reasons, and I always say that if both teams' fans like the trade, or if both teams' fans hate the trade, it might be more of an even trade than we thought. So, Kadri for Laine, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.